Zach LaVine, Patrick Bev, in the state of the Detroit Pistons. We'll talk about that and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. What's poppin', man? How you been, bro? What's
Man,
up,
I've
man?
been good, Keith, man. Getting into the holiday spirit. Looking forward to
Yeah,
the holidays and watching these 76ers.
man, it's crazy. You talking about get looking forward to holidays. I just looked down and saw that Christmas is 12 days away. Like,
Yeah, it's man, it
man,
comes so fast, man.
doesn't it? Doesn't it?
And I kind of like the build up to the holiday, but it comes and goes so quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, but it's weird. It's hard to keep up sometimes with me. I mean, it always feels like, dang, this year is about to end this quickly.
Yeah,
Where did
yeah.
the year go? But huh?
Old Lang Syne every time you turn around.
Yeah. For y'all who don't know so far, I'm Keith Pompey. That's my man John Mitchell. We're the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. And Mitch, we gotta talk about Zach LaVine. I mean, we mentioned him before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a brother with the Chicago Bulls, a
Mm-hmm.
guy who's extremely ball dominant, you know, athletic guy, a former slam dunk champion, a guy who can get his shot. The thing is though, his name keeps coming up in regards to trade talks with the
Mm-hmm.
76ers or someone
Mm-hmm.
the guy the Sixers could get. I don't think that he'll be a good fit for the Sixers. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't. And I want to talk about that. Right now I'm looking at Zach LaVine. He's having arguably his worst season with the Chicago Bulls. He's also dealing with a foot inflammation. He's been out. And the crazy thing is, the last four games that he played in, the last four, the Bulls lost. Now the Bulls have played 6 games without him. They won their first four, and they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Couple good quality
Mm-hmm.
wins without him. And I know they're on the 2 game losing streak right now.
Right.
But for the life of me, and I get it, an all-star, but for the life of me, I can't see how he can make them better right now. I just don't. I
Mm-hmm.
do not see how his addition, a guy with foot problems, a guy
Mm-hmm.
where his team has played better without him, is going to be the missing link for them to get to the championship. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I will say that I'm interested in pursuing Zach LaVine. But there's some other names out there that may interest me a little more and might fill some of the holes, that the 76ers need. Now, he's a guy, you hear his name connected with the Sixers probably more than anybody else who's out there. And now the 76ers have all this draft capital or this roster flexibility. Um, and the saying is you got to have a big three. And the Sixers do have a big two, if I'm not mistaken. Embiid and Maxey still lead the league in scoring as a duo. Uh, I like him, but I hear your points. The injury popping up, that's a concern. But and the ball dominance is a concern too, because you really want a guy who can come in. You'd rather see him come in here and be a guy who, he's typically a 20 point, 21, 22 point per game score. But would he have to come back here and adjust his game? How much adjusting of his game would he have to do play alongside Embiid, play alongside Maxey, and is he willing to do that? He's a guy's making a boatload of money, and guys who oftentimes are in that situation don't really necessarily feel like they need to adjust their game. So I'm not ruling it out. I'm glad the trade deadline is not until February, but that name is probably going to pop up if you Google his name in the 76ers, it's going to come up all the time because number one, there's this push for the 76ers to get beyond the second round. The fans want it. Of course, the 76ers want it. The front office wants it. I think the NBA would like to see it too at this point. But yeah, I wouldn't rule him out. It's all on whether he can come in here and be a fit. I have less of a concern with certain players that are out there. You hear their name connected to. Like I have less concern with a guy like OG. I think he's a guy who comes in and makes a seamless transition and makes them better. And it's not making as much money, so we're not even close to that money. So I'm on the fence with that, Keith. I'm on the fence. I'm kind of a wait and see. I think they, you kind of want to see them do something before February so they can get chemistry down. If they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger, or do they wait until the off season and pursue some of these guys who are free agents? They're sitting in a good place, but I just don't. I'm not 100% sold on Zack LaVine. I like his game, but my concern is, will he be able to come in here and what kind of fit will he be?
Yeah. I understand that. I'm gonna touch on that right after this quick break. Right quick. Touch on that right quick.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
So look, here's my thing with that. I like Zack LaVine as a player, but you got to ask yourself a question: does he make them a championship team? Like, does the addition of Zack LaVine get them over the hump?
Right.
Does the addition of Zack LaVine make them? Does that make Tyrese Maxey better? Like, yeah, you look at it, maybe he could be maybe he could be an option at the end of games and stuff like that. But when you look at it, I mean, he's having one of his worst seasons, right?
Yeah.
And you got all this draft capital, and doing all this other stuff, and you freeing up all this space for a future to go after people.
Right.
And if this guy ain't going to be the dude that's going to, they say, okay, they become the champions of the league. Like, for instance, I hate to say this, but a guy like, and I know he's 38, 39, LeBron. Like, if you go get LeBron, and you say, I got Maxey, I got LeBron, I got Embiid. Oh yeah, that's championship or bust, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if Zack LaVine is going to put the Sixers over the Boston Celtics,
right,
or the Milwaukee Bucks. I just don't see it. I don't know that. And then the thing about it is, we're talking about he's in the second year of a $215 million contract. So that means what happens is all that draft capital that you got for free agency, you basically lost it for another second round exit, possibly. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe you might get to the conference finals. So the thing is, with me, it's just one of those things where I don't know if I want to chance it. I just don't. I mean, I don't. And because the Sixers, we thought, like, you look at it and you say, James Harden, at least, James Harden could play the point. And that didn't turn out to be a good fit, right?
Right.
It didn't. Like, we talk about it now Now you got Joel Embiid saying the guy who got away,
Mm.
the best one who got away was Ben Simmons.
That
Why?
was yeah,
You
yeah.
why? You know why? Because Ben Simmons didn't need the ball,
Right,
right? He didn't
right,
need the ball. Like, if that stuff would have worked out, here's a guy who wanted to play defense. Here's a
hmm,
guy who wanted to like get others involved,
right.
right? Now you look at Zach LaVine, defense isn't a strong suit for him. Here's a guy who likes to take a lot of shots. So to me, I get what you look at it, and I'm with you. There are some other guys who might be a better fits,
Hmm.
but for what the Sixers are doing right now, I don't see Zach LaVine, the acquisition of Zach LaVine, catapulting them to a championship contender. I
Yeah,
just don't see it.
yeah,
So for that, with the injuries, you talk to people in Chicago who, like, I feel like his national reputation is higher than what people feel like he is in Chicago,
hmm,
right? Um, so with that being said, I think I would pass because
yeah,
it's set up for them to be the best. The It's set up for them to have the most money to attract a free agent this offseason.
yeah.
And unless
And
you can get a championship guaranteed or close to get one guaranteed, I think you need to pass on them. I just do.
I,
Just me.
I'm hearing in your voice. I think you like that whole LeBron thing. We touched on that a few episodes back, you know, and and I guess we just didn't assume that he would be playing the way he is at this advanced age, but he's not declining rapidly, and I do hear you. If I mean, you could possibly sign him and then draft his son and make him happy. He'd be completely happy. You'd have a happy LeBron, Joel Embiid, and a Tyrese Maxey, and
Yeah.
yeah, that and a Bronny James, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. So you willing to get rid of DeAnthony Melton for Bronny James? That's the question.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the question right then and
Hmm.
there. Are you willing to give don't resign don't resign DeAnthony Melton because you got Bronny James gonna be your starting two guard next year?
That's funny.
That's the question.
That's
That's
the
the
question.
question.
That would be the question.
That will be the question, right? So, nah, I don't think that's going. I don't. Well, you never know. To get
You never
LeBron,
know.
people would do whatever. You know what I mean? To
Right.
get LeBron, heck, you have general managers saying, "Hey, LeBron, I'll work for $1 next year." Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Even though he's like close to 40, they'll do that. But look, after I want to talk about eBay Motors for a second. But after we talk about eBay Motors, I want to talk about Pat Bev because his value is growing with the 76ers. He's turning out to be more than just um, a guy that gets under the opposing player's skin, more than a guy that's going to provide defense. He's turning out to be a solid 3-point shooter for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But right now, I want to talk about eBay Motors. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on our roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for this week's eBay Guarantee Fit Fantasy Pick of the Week, right? I'm going with Dante Exum, right? And the reason being is if you looked at the game last night, the Mavs played the Lakers. Dante Exum, we all think of his struggles when he was with
Mhm.
the Utah Jazz
Yeah.
as, I believe, the second overall pick. But
Hmm.
this guy has been balling. Well, he was balling last night, knocking down open shots, threes. Right now, the Mavs have a bunch of injuries, and that is leading to Exum, getting some looks. And he looks solid. I have to say that. He looks solid, and he looks like he's going to be a solid player for you, as far as fantasy basketball. So that's the guy that I'm going with. Now, here's the thing. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And then eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being the perfect fit. The same with your vehicle, right? So, with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof wrap, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors have it. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, is guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, look at these prices. You're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay's guarantees fit, only available in U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Now, Mitch, we talk about Pat Bev, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pat Bev has been balling as of late. I'm talking about balling. And it's funny because, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we look at it and you say, you know, can Pat Bev hit shots? Like, I mean, the first couple of games, Pat Bev was horrible. From, I want to say the first 14 games, he was
Mm-hmm.
horrible from three. The last six, my man's been knocking down shots,
Mm-hmm.
doing everything that he can. He's been playing extremely well, shooting 40 something percent. His scoring average has gone up. I mean, we know when they went to Boston, he had 24 points, right? The
He looked
last
like
game,
Superman. He looked
yeah,
like
he looked like,
Superman against Boston.
yeah, exactly. He looked like Superman against them. I mean, the thing is, if they would have kept giving him the ball and people wasn't trying to gun, uh, they would have won the game off of Pat Bev. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
real rap. Like, you know, it felt like to me, and I hate to say it, but it was like, yo, no, hold up, Pat. You ain't supposed to be the man. Like,
Right.
because it got to a point,
He,
how you the point guard and the ball ain't coming, like, and you ain't getting the
yeah.
ball? Like, that
Yeah.
was crazy to me in that second half. He's the point guard, but he's not getting the ball. Like, it was crazy.
Right.
Uh, so I mean, but what I'm saying is saying to say without getting off script. Like Pat Bev has been balling, man. He's been balling recently.
Yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise, and you know, I've never really been a big Pat Bev fan. You know, he seems to be, you know, his role has become that guy in the playoffs who will irritate. You know, he'll irritate a guard. You'll get him out there on the court. You don't want to start with him, but you know, lately he's been finishing with the Sixers, and he had been finishing strong. The 3-point shot is definitely an added bonus with him. Because they've needed, because they've, you know, their 3-point shooting's been hot and cold. You know, I know they hit like 20 the other night, 22 the other night. Um, and so, but it's been up and down. But he's been consistently off the bench, you know, with offense, you know. And when he's in, when Pat, it's hard to say. It's strange. It sounds strange to say, but when Pat Bev is in the flow lately, he's been in the flow. So he's taking advantage of an opportunity. He's being the cagey and wily veteran that, you know, you bring him in here for. But you know, he's usually that guy who, if you have to rely on him, I think for extended minutes deeper into the season, then you got issues. But he's played himself right now. He's playing himself in as a valuable piece to the rotation. You know, we haven't seen a Pat Bev like this in a while.
Yeah, and like just to give Pitt stuff in context, so he is averaging 11.8 points while shooting 46.2% on 3 pointers over the
Mm,
last 6 games, right?
mm,
This comes after Beverley averaged 2.3 points and shot 13.6% from deep in the first 16 games.
wow.
So, yeah, so
Wow.
like, you know, you're right. Like how is he gonna, what is his minutes gonna be like in the postseason? But for right now, it was a matter of teams like leaving them wide open,
Hmm.
like saying, "Look, dude, we don't care if you shoot the ball or not." And then
Yeah.
he stepped into it and was knocking them
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
and looking at it as like, oh, you're going to try to disrespect me? I'm going to make you pay. So, you know, I give credit to Nick Nurse for telling them, like, look, man, we need you to shoot at least 8 shots a game. And
Yeah.
he's been doing that, and he's been thriving with that.
Yeah.
So that, I got to give him credit for that. But you raised a great point. But his value to me is greater than what you think a 35-year-old dude on a minimum
Right.
contract should provide.
Right.
That's
No,
what
I
all I'm
agree.
yeah, that's what I'm saying
No, you're
about
absolutely right. You're
you know.
absolutely right. He and he looks like he's he looks happy to be here. I was watching the interview, post game interview with him the other day, and he was giving kudos to to Joel Embiid, and basically was lauding him. As he said, he's in a class by himself right now. And but you could just tell while he was lauding Joel, he was happy to be making a contribution, a meaningful contribution, in stacking victories.
Yeah, exactly. And look, y'all, we gotta what today is the 76ers. Tonight they play the Detroit Pistons. uh
Woo.
Man, I mean, I got a lot of words to say about Detroit. And I get it, the tanking part, but I don't know if they're I don't even know if they were supposed to be tanking. So we'll talk about that, and but right now we'll talk about that and more. But right now I want to talk to you guys about game time. But we got it in this podcast talking about the Pistons, right?
Woo.
Now
We
the
had
thing about game time, I'm a big fan of game time, because Mitch and I, we talk about it a lot, and we talked about it here. These last minute tickets, like whether it's for a show, whether it's for a concert, whether it's for comedy, anything, sporting event. The thing is, a lot of times you want to go there and you get the tickets, like you try to get the tickets the day of, and you can't do it. It's just too expensive. You just can't do it. So right now is one of those things where you go to game time and you know that you're going to be able to get great ticket prices, get whatever you want. Like it's all set up for you. And that's the thing that I like, right? You can just go there, it's going to be affordable, that you're going to be able to view the tickets before you get it. I mean, it's just the best. So listen, this is what I need y'all to do. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Right now, terms are going to apply for that. But again, go create an account and redeem the code Locked On NBA. That's LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, Mitch, we got to talk about these Pistons, right?
Well, that's painful.
So, um, you know, the thing about the Pistons right now, they started off 2-0. I mean 2-1. And then they lost 20 consecutive games. 20 consecutive. And the hard thing for me is, like, when I'm thinking about this team, I keep thinking about the 76ers, right? Back when the Sixers were tanking.
Right.
And the Sixers were struggling, believe me. I had to cover that team. And I remember my rookie year, my rookie year, well, the year when I replaced you on the beat.
I
The year
remember
after
trying to talk you through it, man.
yeah, you had to talk me through it. So the thing is, that season, the Sixers lost 26 consecutive games. When they finally won a game, they ended up upsetting the Pistons. It was crazy. Now you look at it, the Pistons, they might break this record, man. They might break this record. But the hard thing that gets me, and I get it, they have nice young talent, right? They got young guys who can play. But the thing that is hard for me is, when the Sixers started tanking, they went out there and hired Brett Brown. They hired Sam Hinkie. we all knew that what it was about, right?
Right.
You look
Right.
at this one, they go out there and get Monty Williams, a
Right.
coach who took his team to the championship.
Yeah.
Not only that, Monty Williams went out there and broke the bank.
Yeah, he
They
did.
paid him a lot of money. A lot of money. Now I get it. I know he took over a rebuilding Phoenix Suns, and that's the team that he took to the championship and they
Mhm.
lost. You know, we know that he took over before that. He had a rebuilding uh New Orleans Pelicans team, which
Right.
he turned into a playoff team. But man, when you pay a guy that much money with
Yeah.
that type of resume, this ain't supposed to be a 20 game losing streak. No victories in the month of November.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. It's hard to watch, man. Hard.
Yeah. I think I saw somewhere that they haven't won a game since like the Halloween, you know. So it is hard to watch. And if you had that's the question, you know, if you're tanking, and it's kind of an imbalance here. If you're tanking, why would you pay a coach? And we all know Monty Williams can coach. We know that. But why would you pay him that much money and tank? You know, now part of that is, you know, you could be saying, you know, yeah, we're actually if they're not tanking, then what does that say about some of that young talent? I mean, I like Cade Cunningham. I do like his game. Um, and I think he's going to be a player in the league. But you know, you just look around the roster, and there's just not much to it. And you would think that they would, you know, hire a bridge coach, you know, somebody to get them. Unless Monty was just the guy that they wanted, the guy that they had to have. But then you got to say, are you putting these awful losses on his record? I mean, 20 game losing streak. That's like 45, 50 days of losing, you know. Um, and you just hope that the Sixers don't, you know, end
Yeah,
their
they don't
losing
need
streak
this.
over the next few days. You know, it's well, they have back to back with them, right?
Yeah, they played it's like away and home. So they play
Yeah,
them on Friday, then they play Charlotte. But look, Monty, right? So we thinking about this. Monty signed a 6 year, $78.5 million contract. So he's making 13 million annually,
wow.
right? 13,083,000, right? That's what it breaks down to. Now,
That's not tanking coach money.
that's what I'm saying. That's not taking coach money. Now, you're right. I do like Cade Cunningham. I do like Jalen Duren, right?
Yeah,
Doran, the guy who he's from, I believe
local
from
guy.
Delaware.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he's from Wilmington. I'm not, and I feel bad if I named the wrong city, but he's from Delaware. He went to Roman
Yeah, he
Catholic, and then
bounced around. He bounced around
yeah,
the area, the tri.
yeah. He played team final guy. But the thing is like they got a young talent, but it just ain't working out, man. Like, I mean, like, they first of all, you need some veterans too. Like, you just can't have all them young
Yeah,
dudes. You need some quality veterans that's going to help out. But you know, it's rough, man. It's just tough because I'm looking at it and I know how the process. Yeah, you got Joel Embiid out of it, but then there was a lot of dudes who were supposed to make it who didn't. And
right,
and you look
right.
at it, and I think sometimes you get used to losing. You do.
Yeah,
And then, it's just bad mentally.
comes your
But
culture.
the culture
Yeah,
can be
comes your
bad. And
culture.
then you look at it now, it's like, I mean, Detroit isn't exactly a destination place in the NBA.
No,
Players, they're not knocking
no.
down the door to go there. So it's bad. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. Like, they got rid of, Jeremy Grant, right? I mean, you
yeah,
think about it. Jeremy Grant got paid from being there, playing well. And
right.
now all of a sudden it's like you got these young cats. I bet you they wish they had Jeremy Grant now and kept him. But I don't know, it's just bad decision. But
They're 2 years away from being 2 years away.
yeah, they might be 5 years away. And look, you can't fire. I mean, all that money you gave him, I don't know. And he's a good coach, but
Yeah,
it's tough. Like I read a quote where he said, "Yeah, I'm just happy we're playing hard. We're doing this." I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's what we
yeah.
got now, playing hard.
13 for 13 mil, right? That's
Yeah,
what you get for
exactly.
13 mil.
But look, y'all, we want to thank y'all for joining us today. We want to let you know you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast at. It's free and available. And also you go to our YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers YouTube. Click on the Liberty Bell. You become a new subscriber and you'll get notifications. But we want to thank y'all for listening, and we'll be back tomorrow to recap tonight's game. Peace.
It should be a victory.
It better be a victory for the
I know
Sixers.
that's right.